Hello everyone! Thank you for visiting our channel. Have you ever experienced such like stories? When James and Caitlin first started dating, he found out that Caitlin was seeing another guy. Then he had a serious talk with her. The choice was obvious. James is the son of a businessman. He worked for his father's enterprise and earned a good income. Of course, she chose him over the poor student. James was head over heels in love with his wife. He liked everything about her, her figure, the way she spoke. She was 24 and he was 30 when they got married. James spared no expense for the wedding. Caitlin could choose anything she liked. The celebration was magnificent, and they went on a honeymoon afterwards. James didn't insist on Caitlin working because they had enough money. He tried to devote more time to his wife. He took her on vacations and invited her to events with him. He was proud of his wife and enjoyed showing her off to everyone. Caitlin was always elegantly dressed and attracted the attention of men and the envy of women. After some time, James began to notice that his wife often left for places. She said she was going to the gym, to a friend's, or to a beauty salon. She always had a reason to leave, and when she came back, Caitlin was always in high spirits. "You're different." James smiled at his wife, who had just returned from another salon procedure. "I'm just trying for you," Caitlin murmured in his ear. James held his wife tightly and breathed in her scent. Caitlin's hair had a faint smell of cigarette smoke and men's cologne. "Why do you smell like men's perfume, Keat?" James asked sternly. "Are you back to your old ways?" Caitlin's cheeks blazed. She pushed her husband away and exclaimed indignantly, "How could you suspect me? I do everything for you, and you?" Turning around, Caitlin burst into tears and went to her room. James was overwhelmed with a sense of guilt. He immediately began searching for reasons to justify Caitlin, as he felt that he had falsely accused her of infidelity. One evening, James's friend called him and suggested meeting up. They went to a restaurant where James drank heavily and confided in his friend about Caitlin's infidelity before and after their marriage, and how he had recently noticed a strange smell on her. His friend, who was also drunk, told him that he was foolish to trust her and that she was cheating on him. However, James was only left with a headache and vague memories of the night. The strangeness with his wife did not end there. After some time, James began to notice bruises on Caitlin's body. When he asked her about them, she claimed that they were from a massage therapist. James believed her because she was indeed going through a massage course. However, the bruises began appearing in other areas, and James once found a blue spot on her neck. He was very angry with Caitlin, but could not do anything about it since he had no evidence. One evening, James's friend called him urgently for a meeting. His friend was very nervous and hesitant to speak. He finally admitted that he had unusual sexual interests and was part of a club where adults with different sexual preferences met once or twice a week. He had seen a vaguely familiar woman at one of the meetings and realized that it was Caitlin. He cautiously asked James if he knew anything about his wife's infidelity. James was taken aback, and his friend explained that he had suspicions about Caitlin, but had no proof. "Why are you asking?" James asked gloomily. "Because I wasn't the only one in that club yesterday," replied his friend. "The woman who seemed familiar to me turned out to be Caitlin." James was stunned. Now he began to understand where Ryan was going with all of this and why he was telling him this story. The puzzle in his head came together, and all the thoughts that had been swirling around in his mind turned out to be true. His friend explained that it was a club where people with certain interests in the bedroom gathered. Now James understood where his wife's bruises came from. Of course, the story about the massage seemed true to him, but now he realized that it was all a lie. He asked Ryan where the club was and asked him to take him there. He spent the whole week on pins and needles, waiting for the day to come when his wife would finally finish her mask so that no one would recognize him. Anonymity was a rule of the club. James waited to be introduced to his wife. He was very nervous in anticipation. Ryan whispered in his ear how the meeting in the club went. The girls came out one by one, and each chose a partner. Then they dispersed into different rooms. James was so tense that he even wanted to leave, but his friend stopped him, saying that lies cannot last forever. In the waiting room, there were only men. They were all in masks and dressed only in underwear. Some of them had leather chaps on their bodies. Finally, they heard the door to the room open. James's adrenaline was skyrocketing. Until the very end, he didn't want to believe that he would see his wife now. The women came out one by one. They were all dressed in identical mesh dresses. Each woman's eyes were covered by a ribbon in addition to the mask. The women did not see who was choosing them. The first girl came out. James relaxed a bit. It wasn't Caitlin. The second, third one went out. And finally he saw his wife. There was no doubt in James's mind that it was her. When you live with someone for many years, you know every movement and every spot on their body. The women lined up in front of the men. James wanted to run to her, but Ryan stopped him. "Don't ruin the evening for others," he said. "Take her to a room and talk to her." James stepped forward first, fearing that someone else might intercept Caitlin. He extended his hand to his wife and led her into the room. There, he first took off his own mask and then Caitlin's. The woman's eyes adjusted to the light, and she saw James in front of her. "Well, tell me, has it started again?" A weary James asked. "I don't understand what you're missing. You keep running after other men." Caitlin challenged him, looking at him challengingly. Her face revealed no hint of remorse. "I want to, and I will, and you can't do anything about it. You've put up with it for so many years, and you'll continue to do so. You humiliated me in front of my friend." James shook her by the shoulders. "I won't tolerate that." After hurling a few dirty curses at her, James left the room. Caitlin shouted after him that she hated him. The man realized that he had brought this upon himself and had gotten involved in this matter from the beginning, knowing the truth about Caitlin, but always believing that marriage would change her. But apparently, there are people for whom a peaceful family life is simply contraindicated. The spouse is divorced. Finally, the man spoke of Caitlin's strange hobbies to her parents. First, so they wouldn't tire him with questions about the reasons for the divorce, and secondly, so that the parents could at least control their daughter and not let her slide down the social ladder. Their city wasn't very big, and rumors could easily spread. But the woman was not influenced by her parents' pleas to come to her senses. She was already an adult and could decide for herself how to behave. As a result, not only close friends but also relatives turned away from her. It was precisely for this reason that she didn't tell anyone about her preferences. Her loved ones would consider it shameful. And that's how it turned out. The ex-wife remained angry with James for telling his parents and friends everything. But she couldn't do anything about it anymore. The man felt deceived, and Caitlin had made her choice. And every choice has consequences. What do you think about this situation? Share your thoughts in the comments. And thank you for listening to the story until the end. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel and be sure to like this video, as it will help us promote the channel. All the best.